So today we will start from the Khen dynasty. So what are the significance of Khen dynasty and who is the founder of the Khen dynasty? So those things we will discuss one by one. So if you see the Khen dynasty, so during this Khen dynasty, actually first Muslim invasion took place. Okay, and if you see the founder, no, so P2 was the first ruler of this Khen dynasty. Okay, and this Khen dynasty actually they are actually Bhutanese origin. Okay, so the king of this Khen dynasty they belong to the Bhutanese origin, and the P2 was the founder of this Khen dynasty. Okay, and then during this Khen dynasty actually first Muslim invasion took place in the year 1206. Okay, and who is the person who has carried out first invasion to Assam? That is Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji. So Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji is the first person who actually carried out first Muslim invasion to Assam. Okay, and he was the governor of Bihar under the Kutubuddin Aibak. We know that in Delhi Sultanate there was a slave dynasty like Kutubuddin Aibak and Iltutmish. Okay, actually this Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji, he was the governor of Bihar, so under the Kutubuddin Aibak. So under his actually first Muslim invasion took place to Assam. So at that time the ruler of Kamrupa was Prithu. Okay, so at that time it was Prithu, and after Prithu, okay, so actually then after Prithu actually Prithu was followed by his son Sandhya. Okay, his son Sandhya. Okay, and during his time actually second Muslim invasion took place. So second Muslim invasion took place during the time of Sandhya. Okay, and Sandhya ruled from actually the year is 1257 AD. Okay, but this was unsuccessful. Okay, so if the question comes that when the first Muslim invasion took place, it was during the time of Prithu, which took place in 1206, and second Muslim invasion took place in the year 1257 AD, and so it was carried out by Tughril Khan. Okay, Tughril Khan, and at that time the ruler of Kamrup was Sandhya. So Sandhya was the son of Prithu. Okay. And if we see the last capable ruler of this Khen dynasty is Nilambar. And if we see all this dynasty, different dynasty, whether it is Khen dynasty, whether it is Pallava dynasty, whether it is Burman dynasty, so gradually actually they lost their power. Okay, and here also Nilambar was the last capable ruler. So in case of Khen dynasty, so Nilambar, he was the last capable ruler. Okay, so ultimately in the later part, so this different parts of the Khen dynasty was captured by Ahom and Borbhuyans. Okay, Ahom, Borbhuyans and Kos. Okay, so they have divided the different parts into their own territory. Okay, all these were contemporary in different parts. This kingdom exists, and ultimately when Khen the dynasty become weak, okay, so their territory was divided among the Ahoms and Kos as well as the Borbhuyans. Okay, and if the question comes, who was the first founder of this Khen dynasty? It is your Prithu. Prithu was the founder, and during his time actually first Muslim invasion took place to Kamrupa in the year 1206, and Prithu was followed by his son Sandhya. Okay, so Prithu was followed by his son Sandhya, and during his time, and the first Muslim invasion was carried out by Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji, and second invasion was carried out in the year 1257 during the time of Sandhya, and Sandhya was the son of Prithu, and at that time it was carried out by Tughril Khan. Okay, and the last capable ruler, so last capable ruler of this Khan dynasty is your Khen dynasty is your Nilambar. Okay, and ultimately after that this their territories were divided among Ahoms, then among the Kos as well as the Borbhuyans. Okay, so this is all about your Khen dynasty. So next we will go to the very important dynasty, that is Ahom period. Okay, The Ahom period is very important, and we know that the Ahom Saolang Sukapha. Okay, so actually in this medieval medieval Assam history, we will discuss this one: Khen dynasty, Sutia dynasty, Kosari, Bhuyans, Ahom, Kus, and already we have discussed the Muslim invasion. These events, these things we will discuss in one by one. Okay, already we have discussed about the Khen dynasty. Then I will move to the before going to details in Ahom, I just want to discuss Sutia. Okay, then I will go to the in details about the Ahoms. Okay. Similarly, if we see the Sutia kingdom, okay, so Sutia kingdom exists from 1189 to 1523 AD. Okay, and if you see the Sutia, so their capital was Hodia. Okay, and if we see the present day, Hodia belongs to actually this capital was in the extreme easternmost part of Assam. If you see this portion, no, Tinsukia, Lakhimpur, Dhemaji, up to Bishwanath, all this part, okay, Dibrugarh, this portion. In those area, this portion, actually, Sutia kingdom existed in those portion. Okay, and if you see the founder, Birpal, okay, so Birpal was the founder of the Sutia kingdom, and it was founded in the year 1189 AD. Okay, in 1189, so it was founded. Okay, and his other name was Kosi Rosa. So okay, and actually these Sutias are actually they are Mongoloid in origin. Okay, they are Mongoloid in origins, and their language are like similar to Bodo, almost Bodo. Okay, and they actually rule in the Subansiri area and Subansiri. Okay, we know that Subansiri there is a construction of dam. No, some issue is going on in Subansiri. No, regarding the construction of big dams around 2000 megawatt. No, 2000 megawatt dams are constructed in Subansiri. All are coming from the Arunachal. No, so actually this Sutia kingdom exists on this bank of the river, this Subansiri. Okay, so in Subansiri it is in news. All of you know that because like around 2000 megawatt, no, around very big dams are constructed there, and it may have some impact in the lower lying areas, mainly in the Lakhimpur and Dhemaji, no, districts of Assam. Okay, so these are in news. So what is the capital of this Sutia kingdom? So capital of the Sutia kingdom was Hodia. Actually, how the name Hodia exists, it has also some history. We'll discuss these things. Okay, so how this name Hodia exists. Okay, came into. So next, if you see the Birpal was the founder of the Sutia kingdom. Then after Birpal, so he was followed by Gauri Narayan. Okay, Birpal was followed by his son Gauri Narayan, and Birpal initially actually set up his capital at Hodia. Okay, and then Birpal was followed by his son Gauri Narayan. Okay, Gauri Narayan, and he established his capital in Ratnapur, it is present Majuli. Okay, on the north bank of the Brahmaputra, and he assumed the title Ratnadhaspal. Okay, Ratnadhaspal. Okay, so now you see actually this Ratnadhaspal, no, he sent his son for higher study in Gouda. Gouda means present Bengal. Okay, but unfortunately he died there. Okay, when his dead body was brought back. Okay, actually if you see the name Hodia, no, it has two words. One is so, and next one is dia. So means what? Dead body. So stands for dead body. Dia means to cremate. Okay, so stands for dead body. Dia means to cremate, means his son was cremated in that place. Okay, from there actually the name Hodia exists. Okay, so Ho stands for dead body. Dia means cremate. Okay, means the place where the son of this one Ratnadhaspal was cremated. That is your Hodia. Okay, and this Sutia kingdom, which exists in the far east in the far east portions of the Assam, and it, at that time already Ahom. No, actually you see Sutia Sutia kingdom exists from the 11, if you see the time period, no, time period of Sutia kingdom, it is from 1189 to 1523. In 1220 already Ahom came, no, so you can say they are a contemporary of Ahom, no, okay, but gradually this again Sutia kingdom, they lost their dominance. Ultimately Sutia kingdom was actually annexed into Ahom. Okay, we know that all the kingdom, whether it is Sutia kingdom, whether it is Khen kingdom, whether it is Kos, okay, all were gradually annexed into Ahom one by one. Okay, and so this Ahom king Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja ultimately annexed the entire Sutia kingdom into Ahom. Okay, in the year 1523. Okay, we will discuss in details about why Suhung Muhung is known as Dihingya Raja when we will discuss the entire Ahom kingdom. Okay, in details. Okay, so Sutia kingdom was ultimately annexed into Ahom by this Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja in the year 1523 AD. Okay, in 1523 AD. Okay, so after the annexation of the entire Sutia kingdom, so again Suhung Muhung, that is he was a Ahom king, no, Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja, he appointed one person to look after this new territory. So his name was Hodia Khwa Gohai. Okay, Hodia, this one new official was elected. Okay, one new official was elected by the this one Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja to look after the newly annexed territory, that is Sutia kingdom, and this official name was your Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja. Okay. So next, and if you see the who is the last capable ruler in this, in every kingdom, it is very important who is the founder of the kingdom, and who is the most powerful ruler, and who is the last capable ruler. Okay, and already we have seen in Khen kingdom that Prithu was the founder of the Khen kingdom, then he was followed by his Sondhya, and last ruler was Nilambor. Similarly, in case of Sutia kingdom, Birpal was the founder. Okay, and the last capable ruler was Dhir Narayan. Last capable ruler of the Sutia kingdom was Dhir Narayan. Okay, and after that what actually Sadhoni was the daughter of Dhir Narayan. We know that every year on 21st of April, no, 21st of April, Soti Sadhoni Divas is celebrated, no, in Assam. Actually, this Soti Sadhoni, it is related to Sutia kingdom. Who was Sadhoni? Sadhoni was the daughter of Dhir Narayan. Okay, ultimately Sadhoni was married to Nitipal. Okay, so Nitipal, and then Nitipal became the king of Sutia, but he was not very powerful. Okay, ultimately he was defeated, and enter Suhung. Already I have discussed this. Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja ultimately annexed defeated the Nitipal, who is the last ruler of the Sutia kingdom. He was defeated, and then entire territory was annexed into in the Ahom. Okay, the last battle it was fought, it was that is Sondongiri. Okay, okay, so this is the last battle that is fought between the Ahom and Sutias. Then Sutia was actually annexed into the Ahoms. Okay, okay. If the question comes, who is the last ruler of Sutia kingdom, is Nitipal. Okay, Nitipal is the last ruler. But if the question comes, who is the last capable ruler or last powerful ruler of the Sutia kingdom, it is your Dhir Narayan. Dhir Narayan's daughter was Sadhoni. He was married to she was married to Nitipal. Then Nitipal became the king, but he was not powerful. He is not incapable. Okay, so he was ultimately defeated. Okay, and already he was. I told you that Suhung Muhung or Dihingya Raja, he after defeating the Sutia, one new person was appointed. Okay, that is Hodia Khwa Gohai. Okay, to look after the new territory, that is Sutia territory. Okay, now there is a in at that times they follow one tradition that when after defeating a particular kingdom, no, that the wife of the defeated king, they have to actually she has to marry to the winner side, no. So that is why this one, no, Hodia Khwa Gohai, okay, he wanted to marry Nitipal. Okay, as he wanted to marry the Sadhoni, okay, as Nitipal was defeated, okay. So, but Sadhoni, she actually refused. She refused to do so, and as a result, she actually committed suicide. Okay, to actually recognize this courage, this title Soti was given. Okay, Soti Sadhoni, no, this title Soti Sadhoni was given to recognize this to recognize the courage of her. So this title Soti was given. So that is the reason why in every year, no, on 21st of April, Soti Sadhoni Divas is celebrated. Okay, so Soti Sadhoni Divas is celebrated every year on the 21st of April every year. So Soti Sadhoni, it is related to the Sutiya kingdom. Okay, and after the annexations of the Sutiya, no, so Ahom was no doubt they get the territory of Sutiyas, but they were also benefited by other ways, because if you see the Sutiyas people, no, they were very skilled architects. Okay, they were very skilled architects as well as the expert warriors. Okay, so in this case, so Ahom king was benefited from this special services from the Sutiyas. Okay, and as a result, all these Sutiyas were lost. They were Ahom kings. The Sutiyas people were appointed in the higher administration, because they are good. They have good actually expert warriors. Okay, as well as they are the also skilled architect. Okay, so which actually helped the Ahom's king. Okay. Okay. So after the Sutiyas, again we will go to discuss next another dynasty, that is Kosaris. Quickly, so then they have small things are there. So in details, most important is the Ahoms. Okay, and if you see the Kosaris from 835 to 1830 AD. Okay, so like the Sutiyas, Kosaris were also ultimately annexed into the Ahom kingdom. Okay, so if you see the history, so history of the Kosaris, no. So actually they are again Mongoloid origins. So Mongoloid origins, okay, and they are the language almost similar to the Boro. Okay, and these Kosaris, they have their initial capital was at Dimapur. Okay, Dimapur, or at that time it was known as initially it was known as Hidimbapur. Okay, later it is known as Dimapur. So initial capital of the Kosaris was Hidimbapur. Hidimbapur means present Dimapur. Okay, and it is said that these Kosaris were the descendants of Ghotukoso. Ghotukoso means son of Bhima. Okay, it is said that Bhima, okay, he married Hidimba prince. From that, Ghotukoso was born. So that is why it is said that these Kosari peoples were they are the descendants from the Ghotukoso. Okay, descendants of Ghotukoso. Okay, and their initial capital was Hidimbapur, that is present Dimapur. Okay, and again you can see Suhung Muhung. Okay, Suhung Muhung, there is again conflict. Okay, because I already told you that when the Ahom came, okay, when Ahom came to the Brahmaputra territory, there are different small kingdom exist in different parts, like it is Sutiya, Kosaris, okay, Dimasa. Okay, so gradually Ahom annexed one after another. Okay, so already in 1523 Ahom, that is Suhung Muhung, Ahom under the Suhung Muhung, they have already actually annexed the Sutiya kingdom. So similarly in 1536 there is a conflict. Okay, in 1536 there is a conflict between the Ahoms and now it is Kosaris. Okay, in 1536, so these Kosaris, they were forced to move from their capital Hidimbapur to the Maibong in Dima Hasao. Okay, Maibong. Initially you can see this Kosari kingdoms, their original capital was in Hidimbapur, that is present Dimapur. Okay, in the plain side, but this Ahom under the Suhung Muhung, so they actually there is a conflict between these Kosaris and this Ahom during the time of Suhung Muhung, and ultimately Kosaris were forced to move towards the hills, that is towards the Maibong, that is in Dima Hasao. From Hidimbapur, they were forced to shift their capital towards the this Maibong. Okay, Hidimbapur. Oh, sorry, Maibong in Dima Hasao district. Okay, present Dima Hasao. Okay. and ultimately you can see that from the this one no, the later part of the 18th century, Kus ruled in Khaspur only, near Silsor, okay, near Silsor, in Khaspur near Silsor, okay, and already there is a Kosari palace in Khaspur. It is still there, okay, it is still there in the Khaspur, okay, and all this remaining part, no, there is whether it is Kus, okay, or Kosari, they come together, okay, and they rule only in the this one. Khaspur regions near Silsor, and already now this Kosari place is there, okay, still there, okay. Okay, so after this Kosari, Kus kingdoms were annexed to Ahom, then the Kosaris were again annexed to the Ahoms. Then we will discuss about the Bora Bhuyans. Who are the Bora Bhuyans? Okay, we know that our famous saint like Shonkordev, na, he belongs to this Bhuyans family. Okay, so what is the meaning of Bhuyans? So actually Bhuyans were the meaning is landlord. Okay, actually if you see their origin, they are originally from the Konos. Okay, that is in UP, Konos. Okay, and actually it is said that when Muslim invasion took place, no, in different parts of India, so they shifted from Konos to Gouda. Gouda means present West Bengal. Okay, Gouda means it is present West Bengal. Okay, they shift from the Konos to the Gouda, and after that from there to Kamrupa. Okay, ultimately they migrated to Kamrupa. Okay, and at that time this Durlabh Narayan, okay, Komata king Durlabh Narayan, so he initially gave them the shelter. Okay, so this Komata king Durlabh Narayan, so he actually initially gave shelter to these Bhuyans. Okay, if we see the Bhuyans mean literally meaning is they are landlords. Okay, and they originally come from the Konos. Okay, when Muslim invasion took place, they first shift from Konos to Gouda, means West Bengal, and from there ultimately to the Kamrupa. Okay, and this so Komata king, that is the Durlabh Narayan. Okay, so he actually give them shelter for the first time near Hazu. Okay, the place is here Lenga Maguri near Hazu. So this Durlabh Narayan gave them shelter. Okay, and after that actually they settle in the modern, if you see the modern this present time, in the modern districts of Gwalpara and Kamrup area. Okay, in the modern time districts of Gwalpara and Kamrup area, they actually settle. Okay, and we know that what is the role played by these Bhuyans, especially Shonkordev. No, Shonkordev played a very significant role in the in unification of different caste community to have a common identity through the this Bhakti movement, that is Neo Vaishnavism. We will discuss what is the role of Shonkordev and to the literature, okay, and music and all these things one by one. Okay, and ultimately actually so they initially took shelter in the Hazu. Okay, that is a modern Gwalpara and Kamrup areas, and so but there is a constant again there is a constant conflict from the Bhutias near Bhutan. No, Bhutias, there is a constant conflict. Ultimately they permanently settle in the Bordua. Okay, ultimately Durlabh Narayan settled them at the Bordua. Okay, Bordua, that is the districts of means in the districts of Nagaon. No? We know that in the Bordua Hotra, no? Hotra is there. No? Okay, so in that place they were permanently settled. But if the question comes, who was the king? Okay, who first gives actually settle this the Bhuyans who comes from Konos, no, UP, and for the first time it is your Durlabh Narayan. Okay, Durlabh Narayan gave them the shelter initially at Hazu, and ultimately they were permanently settled at Bordua in Nagaon district. Okay, Nagaon district. Okay. Okay. So next we'll okay, and you can see all these Bhuyans, no, when there is a conflict occurs, means there is a attack occurs on them. So what they used to do, they used to elect a leader. Okay, and it is known as Hirumoni Bhuya. Okay, Hirumoni Bhuya means he lead the entire Bhuyans. Okay, when suppose there is a conflict, okay, from outsiders, then what they used to do, they appoint one leader among themselves. He is known as your Hirumoni Bhuya. Okay, and this one Sandibor, he was the forefather of Shonkordev. Okay, Shonkordev. So this Sandibor, he was the forefather of Shonkordev. He was also a ceremony Bhuyan. Okay, during the time of conflict, these Bhuyans used to appoint a leader to lead the fight, no, against their enemy, no, and that person is known as your Hirumoni Bhuya, Ceremony Bhuya, and Sandibor is one of the Ceremony Bhuya, and he was the forefather of Shonkordev. Okay, and we all know that the contribution of Shonkordev to the Assam's arts and literature. Okay, so we'll discuss in details what are different contributions made by the Shonkordev. Okay, one by one. Okay, so we now discuss Shonkordev. It's very important, no? So if you see the Shonkordev, this born in what, in the year 1449 and died in 1568. Okay, and where he born, in Alipukhuri, that is in Bordua in Nagaon. I have already told you, no, Raja Dulabh Narayan settled them, these Bhuyans, which is coming from the Konos. Initially, this Dulabh Narayan settled them in Hazu. Okay, ultimately there was also constant conflict by the Bhutias. So ultimately they were ultimately settled permanently in the Nagaon, in the Bordua in Nagaon district. Okay, and his father was Kusumba Bhuya and mother was Hoitto Honda. Okay, but all this his parents died. He was very young. Ultimately, he was brought up by his paternal grandmother, that is your Kherhuti. Okay, Kherhuti, and after the death of his wife Huryavati, Huryavati was his wife. She also died, and after the death of his this wife Huryavati, actually he went for a long pilgrimage, for about 12 years. Okay, for about 12 years he visited different religious places all over India. Okay, and okay, and he actually, if you see the Shonkordev was he was a contemporary of both Kabir and Guru Nanak. Okay, we know that this bhakti movement took place, no, in different parts of India under the Kabir and Guru Nanak. So similarly, so this Shonkordev was he was actually contemporary of Kabir and Guru Nanak. Okay, and if you see if you compare the teachings, no, teachings of Kabir and this almost same. So what are these, like these are very liberal. They are against the orthodox religious or rigid religious practices, and they believe in only one God, not multiple God. No, so there is very similarities among the teachings of Kabir Nanak as well as the Shonkordev. Okay, and like the Kabir and Nanak, they carried out this bhakti movement, no, in different part of India, and Shonkordev carried out these reforms, bhakti reforms in religious reforms in Assam. Okay, through Neo Vaishnavism, and if we see that their teachings almost same, like one is what they believe in one God, no, they believe in one God, not multiple gods. Okay, second is what, second one is the liberal religious principle. Okay, so liberal religious principles. So all these things are same like Kabir and Kabir, Guru Nanak as well as the Shonkordev. Okay, and they were against all these orthodox or you can rigid practices like sacrifice, donation, all these things. Okay, okay. So now Neo Vaishnavism movement. Okay, and it means worships of Vishnu, one God. Okay, Vishnu. In a course of time, Shonkordev became the dominant religions, and okay, and Shaktism, and okay, and many corrupt practices. Okay, we know that Shaktism was at that time, no, before this Vaishnavism, no, Shaktism was there. Okay, it was practiced in a huge scale, no. So where there was different corrupt practices like sacrifice of animals, even humans. Okay, these are practices. and these religious rituals are very costly. So as a result, these common people, they have suffered, okay, because in order to sacrifice animals, they needs money. So it may not be possible for the common people, okay. So as a result, what this Shonkardev was, and economically and socially backward classes became victims of such practices. I've already told you, this is very costly. So economically and socially backward class, they become the victims of this orthodox, or you can say rigid religious practices, okay. And okay, so against all these practices, Shonkardev introduced the Vaishnavism, okay, and I will discuss the principle of this, okay. What are these? Okay. Okay. So if you see the main emphasis, where Shonkardev has given the main emphasis, you can see ethnic integration. He was against the caste or class discrimination. Okay, so we know that he has set up Hotra and Namghar, for the propagations of the ideals of Vaishnavism, and he opened the doors of Hotra and Namghar to all community, even to Muslims. Okay, so there is no he was against all this caste or class rigidity. Okay, he opened the doors. That is why it is what ethnic integration. He mainly focuses on integrating all the different caste and community into one common identity. Okay, and societal reforms, spiritual upliftment based on indigenous elements of religion. Okay, spiritual. Okay, so here this in Vaishnavism, the focus is main on the spiritual means upliftment or purification of soul, rather than focusing on the this costly or this very rigid religious rituals. Okay, so they mainly focuses on these things. So ethnic integrations, first things. Okay, so first thing is what ethnic integration. Next is your societal reforms, and next one is your spiritual upliftment. Okay, societal reforms. Next one is your spiritual upliftment based on indigenous elements of religion. Okay, okay, and I already told you what is ethnic integration. Okay, because he wanted to unify. Means we know that the main goal of Shonkardev is to establish Bor Assam. Okay, where there will be no discrimination based on caste, community, religion, all these things. Okay, and this new creed was officially known as Ek Horon Nam Dharma. Ek Horon means believe in one God, believe in Ek Horon Nam Dharma. Okay, and all these teachings of Vaishnavism, they are actually based on Gita and Bhagavad. Okay, the teachings were actually the principles or they are taken mainly from the Gita and Bhagavad. Okay, and it called for the worships of single God. Okay, single God, one God. Okay, Krishna and Vishnu. Okay, again it rejected the idol worship. Very, very important. Okay, so Vaishnavism was, or Shonkarev's Vaishnavism was, it was against the idol worship. Okay, what are the main principles? You see, first of all, these are very, very important. Okay, and we will next after completion of this, we will discuss one question regarding the mains. In the mains, how they can ask from this. Okay, so in the mains, they may ask that how Shonkardev, or Shonkardev Vaishnavism has played a significant role, in the social and economic upliftment of the different people. Discuss. So in this case, we have to discuss all these things. How he actually set up the this Namghar and Hotra, and then he opened the doors for all, which leads to the unification of different people, so which ultimately promotes social harmony, social unity, and then in Hotra and Namghar, different bhavnas were actually practices, and for in order to perform these bhavnas, different okay, and where different in the perform bhavnas, in Hotra and Namghar, so they need different instruments. Okay, so those instruments are built by the common people itself, so ultimately which uplift their economic condition. Okay, so those things we have to mention. Okay, okay, so this this is officially known as Ek Horon Nam Dharma, and all the teachings, it is taken from the where Gita and Bhagavad. Okay, and it worships only one god. I have already told you that is the Krishna or Vishnu, and it rejected the idol worship. Okay, idol worship was rejected. It advocated the Nam Kirtan as the mode of worships, and the new it was open to all, irrespective of this one, irrespective of birth, caste or status. Okay, it worked for the upliftment of the socially down region. Okay, and ultimately it introduced the Hotra and Namghar. Okay, these things already have discussed. Now, this Vaishnavism was open to all. Okay, irrespective of birth, irrespective of caste or status in the society. The main objective is what? To uplift the socially backward and economically weaker section. Okay, and for that purpose he set up the Namghar and Hotra. Okay, so it is very, very important here. From the mains questions maybe comes. Okay, that how this Hotra and Namghar played a significant role in the social unification. No? Okay. Okay. So first is Hotra. Okay, so first one is your Hotra. Actually, if you see the Hotra, what is the difference between Hotra? Hotra, if you see in every villages in Assam we have Namghar. Okay, Hotra is a bigger institution, but in the Namghar located in every village. In every village there may not have a Hotra, no? Okay, so if you see a large complex where some devotees live more or less permanently and cultural activities are performed, and it is an autonomous institution who frames its own rules and regulations and administer them for this own authority. Okay, so here disciples may go there, they stay there. Okay, they can learn different religious rituals there. Okay, and there is a Hotra. That means the Hotra who is run the entire institution of Hotra. He is known as a Hotra. Okay, he is chief executive who act as a friend, philosopher and guide of the and the residents as well as the non-resident disciples. Okay, the disciples of the Hotra, no? So who actually some disciples may stay in the Hotra permanently. Some may go from the outside. Okay, and this Hotra played a very significant role. He is a chief executive who acts as a friend, philosopher as well as the guide to all the disciples there. Okay. Okay. So a Hotra is a center of religious discourse, teaching and training and cultural activities. Okay, all cultural activities took place in the Hotra. Okay, and then we have a Namghar. So actually Namghar, it is what? Namghar is a community prayer. It is a community prayer hall. Okay, in the villages. Okay, Namghar is also exists in urban areas. Okay, and both Hotra and Namghar function as a cultural centers. Okay, it is a community prayer hall. Okay, and in every place we have Namghar, and in urban areas now we also have Namghar. Okay, and it is both Hotra and Namghar, they function as a cultural centers, and you can see in the Namghar also played as a alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. Okay, how? Because you see when there suppose there is a dispute in a particular place, and first of all people what they used to do, they used to go to the elderly people, they gather in the Namghar. Okay, then they discuss the issue, they try to solve the matter in the village level itself. Okay, no doubt if the party they are not satisfied, they can go to the court, no problem, but before going to the court they try to solve the matter in the Namghar. So we can say that Namghar also act as a alternate dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, like alternate dispute alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. Okay, So this Namghar also acts as an alternate ADR, that is alternate dispute resolution mechanism. So this is very good if a dispute can be solved, no, locally in the village level itself, then definitely the burden on the court will be reduced, because we know that nowadays there is a huge pendency of cases in both High Court and Supreme Court. Okay, and okay, but if Namghar can act as this, okay, if some small cases, no, all the civil case, not the criminal case, if all this civil case, suppose some disputes among the different villagers, okay, so they can come to the Namghar, so where all the elderly people of the village will come together and they can discuss the issue, and if they can find a solution in the village level itself, then it is a very good alternate dispute resolution, because it will reduce the burden on the court. Okay. But yes, if the parties, if they are not satisfied, they can go to the court for a better judgment. Okay, this is an alternate solution. Okay. Okay. Now the various cultural activities under the Neo Vaishnavism. So what are the various cultural activities that took place under the Neo Vaishnavism? Okay. First, Onkiya Nath dramas. Okay. So the Onkiya Naths are these are there are we will discuss one by one what are different contributions made by Shankardev. Okay. And if you see, first is your Onkiya Nath. These are nothing but these are some drama. Okay. And we know that the first Onkiya Nath, it is your Sinno Jatra. So it was by Shankardev itself. No, this one. The plays which is written by Shankardev is your Sinno Jatra. It is a first play. Okay. And it is a style of storytelling through the drama, mostly depicting the life of Lord Krishna, Lord Rama. So these are one act play. These are all one act play. Okay, one act play. So they actually, all this drama or Onkiya Nath, they will actually tell the story of Lord Krishna or the Lord Rama. Okay, through the drama and mostly depicting the life of this. Okay, and all these plays are written in Brajavali language. Okay, the language used to write this drama or Onkiya Nath was Brajavali Bhasha. Okay, Brajavali language. Okay. And a particular presentations of Onkiya Nath is called as Bhavna. Okay, we know that Bhavna, no? Bhavna is performed. So Bhavna is performed in the Namghar. Okay, so and the first play it is written by Shankardev is your Sinno Jatra, and Shankardev has written a lot of there are different plays that is written by Shankardev. They are very important. Okay, Sinno Jatra, Kaliya Daman. Okay, then the Patni Prasad, Janma Jatra. Okay, and next Rukmini Haran, Parijat Haran, and next Ram Vijay, Keligopal, etc. So these are various plays, okay, that are written by Shankardev. Okay. Okay. So this is your about Onkiya Nath. That is one act play. Okay. And we all know that there is a Sinno Jatra. Okay. Sinno Jatra, this was actually depicted in one piece of paper, cloth, that is Bindabani Bosto, no, Bindabani Bosto, where Sinno Jatra play is actually depicted by Shankardev. Okay. So it is in the British Museum, and now Assam government has taken initiatives to bring it back, okay, to Assam. Okay. So after Onkiya Nath, next one is your Hotriya dance. Hotriya. We know that there are different classical dance, no, in the Udesi, okay, Bharatnatyam. Okay, there are different this classical dance form in India, and Hotriya dance is also one form of classical dance. Okay, and it is introduced by Shankardev, and actually it got the classical dance recognitions in the year 2000. You have to remember. Okay, very important. So it is a dance form associated with the Onkiya Nath, and this Hotriya dance, no, it got the classical dance form recognitions in the year 2000. Okay, there are Bharatnatyam, different types of classical dance are there in different states. In Assam, it is your Hotriya dance. Okay. And it is important in which year this Satriya dance got the classical dance recognitions. So in the year 2000. Okay. Next, Borgit. So Borgit, Bhotima, all these things are actually creations of Shonkardev. So Borgit are what? These are some devotional songs. No? Devotional songs. There are more than 240 Borgits composed by Shonkardev, and which are only a few exist today. And Madhavdev also composed more than. We know that one of the best disciples of Shonkardev was Madhavdev. So he also actually composed more than 100 Borgits, and Shonkardev more than 240 Borgits. But all are not in the only few of them are exist. Okay. Next, Bhotima, song sung in the praise of God and Guru. Okay. Kirtan. Okay. So what is Kirtan? It is a poem primarily composed for community singing. And Kirtan Guha. Kirtan Guha is very, very important. It is written by Shonkardev. It is a summary of Gita. So what is Kirtan Guha? It is actually written by Shonkardev. So it is a summary of the entire Gita. Okay, Gita volume is very big. So it is summarized. Okay, to small versions by Shonkardev through Kirtan Guha. Next, Nam Guha is there. So Nam Guha is written by Madhavdev. So this Nam Guha is also known as Hazari Puthi. Okay. So this Nam Guha, so this is also known as Hazari Puthi. Why it is called Hazari Puthi? Okay. So you see this Nam Guha, which is written by Madhavdev, so is also known as Hazari Puthi. Okay. And Kirtan Guha, which is written by Shonkardev. So actually it is nothing but it is a summary of Gita. Okay, summary of Gita. Okay. And Nam Guha, which is written by Madhavdev, it is Hazari Puthi because here it consists of 1000 slokas. Okay, 1000 slokas are there. Okay, so this is the reason why it is known as a Hazari Puthi. Okay, so other literacies are Dasam depicted the birth of Krishna. Okay, and Harishchandra Upakhyan, Gunamala, Ratnavali, and next Ratnavali it is written by Madhavdev. It is also another significant work. So these different works are important because sometimes this may be asked. Okay. Okay. So this is about the next we will go to Madhavdev and his disciple Madhavdev and Damodar Dev. Okay. So before going to that, so these are the contributions. So what are the contribution of Shonkardev? Okay, it's very, very important. And the role of Satra. So what is the role of Satra in the socio-economic development of the Assam? So if the question comes, no, we have to write all these things. You can see that in Hotra, the disciples go from different social and economic background. Okay, so they as a result what it actually increase the social mobility. Okay, different caste, different community people can go together, they can stay together, they can learn together. So it will promote social harmony or social mobility. Okay, first thing. Second thing is also promote education. No, educations are provided. So it also help in the upliftment of the spiritual status or spiritual upliftment of these disciples. Okay, which is very essential nowadays. No, we have seen that there is a degradation of people's morality as well as nowadays. No, we have seen different incidents which are took place due to lack of morality. So we can upgrade there through spiritual upliftment. We can enhance the this character of this disciples, so which will definitely help to promote harmony, to promote social value in the society. So Satra plays a very significant role, both Satra and Namghar. In this way we can write, okay, the role of Satra and Namghar in the socio-economic development of the Assam. Okay. So if you see the Shonkardev after his death, so he has actually two prominent disciples. Okay, one is your Madhavdev and the next one is Damodar Dev. One is your Madhavdev, okay, and another one is your Damodar Dev. Okay, so Shonkardev had two prominent disciples. One is Madhavdev, he belongs to Kayastha, and another one is your Damodar Dev, he is a Brahmin. Okay, Shonkardev nominated Madhavdev as his successor. But Shonkardev nominated Madhavdev as his successor before his death. Okay, so several of the Brahmin disciples, including Damodar Dev, Haridev, and Gopal Dev, okay, they refused to accept Madhavdev as their guru. Hence, they from a separate sect. This okay. So Shonkardev, before his death, he declared Madhavdev as his successor. Okay, Madhavdev, he belongs to Kayastha. Okay, whereas Damodar Dev, another disciple, Damodar Dev, he belongs to Brahmin. Okay, but this Damodar Dev, Haridev, and Gopal Dev, they refused to accept. Okay, they refused to accept Madhav Dev as the guru. Hence, they form a separate sect. Okay, and following the Madhav Dev are still called as those who follow the Madhav Dev, they are known as Mahapurukhya, and still called as concept Borpeta as their headquarters. We know that Borpeta Hotra, no, established by Madhav Dev. Okay, for these Mahapurukhyas, this Borpeta Hotra is the headquarter. Okay. In Upper Assam, this Sudra disciples of Shankar is Aniruddha. And if you see again, actually after the death of Shankardev, there is a division among his disciples. We have seen there is Madhav Dev one side, then the Damodar Dev and his followers on the other side. And again in Upper Assam, the Sudra caste under Aniruddha, they form a new sect, okay, and known as Moamoria. So we will discuss these things, Moamoria revolt. So what is Moamoria revolt? That is occurs no? in Ahom administration we will discuss. So what is Moamoria revolt? And actually this Moamoria revolt actually played a very significant role in weakening the internal stability of the Ahom administration. Okay. Ultimately, this Moamoria revolt actually affect the pike system. So what is pike system? We will discuss when we will discuss in Ahom administration. The pike system is nothing but actually under this pike system within the age group of 16 to 50 years, no, all the male within the age group of 16 to 50 years. So they have to provide compulsory services as a labor in the form of in the time of peace, as a soldier in the time of war. So they have to provide compulsory services, but there is a condition. So condition is that all the royal families members, all the noble families, these male family, royal and noble families males were exempted from this. Only the people from the lower caste, okay, or weaker sections, they have to provide these mandatory services. So as a result, there is a since Moamoria revolt, no? So Moamoria revolt was against this. So since Moamorias they are the disciples of Shankardev, and they accepted Vaishnavism, and which is very liberal. So which is against the caste discrimination, no? And they have seen that there is a caste discrimination in the pike system. So they, as a result, they started revolt, okay, and which has ultimately affect the internal stability of the Ahoms. Okay, so those things we'll discuss. Okay. Then Moamorias were mainly persons of low social rank. Okay, already have discussed. And Bhattadev, one of the disciples of Damodar Dev, translated the Bhagavad Gita into Assamese prose known as Katha Gita. So important. So Bhattadev, he was one of the disciples of Damodar Dev. So he has translated the Bhagavad Gita into Assamese known as your Katha Gita. Okay, Katha Gita. So this is all about your Shankardev, okay, and disciples and his contributions, and okay. So this is all this, and in the next class we will discuss the Kush kingdom, and after that, after Kush we will go to the end. This is the family tree of the Kush. Okay, we know that Kush kingdom was one of the very strong and powerful kingdom, no, that exists. Okay, and this one, no, Narnarayan was one of the very powerful ruler, and his brother Silarai or Saklodhas or Silarai or Kait's king, no, he was a commander in chief. He was a very skilled military, okay, commander, and as a result, Narnarayan, he gained very popular, and he acquired a lot of territory at that time, no. So this is a family tree. So Hariya Mandal was this, and ultimately Biswasingha, mainly Biswasingha was the founder, and his sons were Narasingha, Naranarayan and Suglados, okay, and Guhai Kamal. So those things will in details we discuss, and here only Naranarayan become the king. Now he become the king, and Sukladhos or Silarai, he was a commander in chief. Okay, this is the family tree of the Kos kingdom. Okay. If you see the Kos kingdom, just introduction. The actually, if you see the Kos kingdom, it exists present North Bengal, Gwalpara and Kamrup. Okay, and Biswasingha, he was a founder. Biswasingha, he was a founder of the Kos kingdom, and their initial capital was Kamatapur or Coos Behar. Okay, so their initial capital was Kamatapur or Coos Behar, and he was this Biswasingha. He was a very efficient administrator, military and military head, and a great patron of Hinduism. Okay, and Biswasingha actually he already told he is a very efficient administrator and military commander. So what he do, he conquered and brought under his control all these small chiefs like Beltola, Rani, Luki, Dorong. A small different chiefs exist at that time, and all these were brought under his control by Biswasingha. Okay, and to form this Kos kingdom initially. Okay. And this is the family tree of the this one Biswasingha. He has actually Biswasingha has 3 sons. One is Maladev, Silarai and Guhai Kamal or Kamal Narayan. Okay, and here Naranayan become the king. Okay, and Naranayan has one son, which is Lakshmi Singha, and Silarai has one son, that is Raghudev, and Kamal Narayan or Guhai Kamal has one son, that is Udit Narayan. Okay, and ultimately this Raghudev has Parikshit Narayan, Bali Narayan and Gos Narayan, and then Parikshit Narayan has Sondra Narayan and Bijit Narayan, and Bali Narayan has last, this is your Sundar Narayan Dorong. Actually, we will discuss in later part of in later part. Actually, Naranayan, what he do, he divide the kingdom. One is Coos Behar, and one is Coos Hazo. So actually, in the later part again there is a conflict, internal conflict arises among the Coos. Okay, so as a result, what Naranayan do? Naranayan also actually Naranayan was a very peace-loving king. So he did not want to fight against with his own brother and with his own nephew. So what as a result, what he did, he actually divided the kingdom, entire Coos kingdom into one part is known as your towards the western side it is your Coos Behar, towards the eastern side is your Coos Hazo. So Coos Behar was actually given under the control of his own son, that is your Lakshmi Singha. Lakshmi Singha was his own son, and Coos Hazo was given to his brother of his the brother of his son, that is Raghudev, because Raghudev was the son of Suglados. Okay, or you can say Raghudev was his Naranayan's nephew. Okay, so he divided the kingdom and among his son as well as his nephew. So in order to prevent dispute among themselves. Okay, so because he was a very peace-loving king, and actually Hankadev was as I have already told you, Hankodev's Vaishnavism, which is very liberal, which has affected the pike system in the Ahom. So initially Ahom did not give shelter to Hankodev. This was Naranayan. Naranayan was actually again the later part Naranayan, he gave shelter to Hankodev. Okay, so thank you.